Hello there, Shortcuts. This is Stephen here. This is a very special video. Very special indeed. For those of you who might be new to this, hang around to the end of the video and I will give you the details on how to get onto the price list so that you can secure these wonderful records that are about to come. But the reason that this is so special is because next week is the 5th anniversary of the birth of Shortcuts, my little record club. I cannot believe it's still here 5 years later. So 4 months ago, I began gathering up all of the key kind of records in the history of the first 5 years of Shortcuts. This first list is the genre list, and after we finish this, I will then do the classic rock list. Every one of the records listed here is either a cornerstone of Shortcuts or has received some kind of incredible feedback over time. And I'm not talking about exclusive or kind of individualistic. I mean, the trend for these records is clear that these are the best of the first 5 years of Shortcuts. There is one missing in this list that I could not find, and I will leave it to the end. Because it's such a special list, everyone who buys a record this week will get entered into a prize, into a draw. The more you buy, the more entries you get. The winner will get this, the Japanese press of the Beatles' Let It Be single in absolutely mint condition. That will be slipped in to your record as a little gift from me. So the 5th anniversary prize is the Japanese 45 RPM single of Let It Be. I think that's a lovely thing. All right. I had only one place to start, and it is with the record that really kicked this whole endeavor off. In the very first box that I got from Shinjuku, I can't remember whether it was the first record I pulled out. My recollection is that it was, but I could be wrong. I've made the t-shirt. I've done everything I can to celebrate this album. This had to be the record to kick off the opening salvo of 5th anniversary lists, and it is this. It is Moanin' by Art Blakey. Now, what I had to do was find the nicest copy of this that I could find. I don't know if you can see the gloss on this sleeve. It is absolutely pristine. This is the TOJ 6503 press that celebrated 65th. I don't know whether it was done. I'm not sure what the 65, because it's definitely not 65 years. I don't know. I'll dig out, but it is an absolutely beautiful copy in pristine condition with heavyweight Japanese vinyl. It is a promo copy. You can see the not for resale there. If a stylist has ever seen this record, it is with the lightest of light touches. Why is this the record? The first time I put this record on, it convinced me that I needed to explore jazz, which has become a cornerstone of this whole club. Everything about the Jazz Messengers is awesome to me. It is the breeding ground, the proving ground of hard bop. Lee Morgan, Benny Golson, Wayne Shorter, Freddie Hubbard, Art Blakey himself. The title track of this incredible album was written by, I think it was the what was he called? The Bobby Timmons, the pianist. And it was originally to be called Moanin' with Hazel, which I think is pretty amazing. Hazel was someone who came into the club where they played, and I would like to think that Bobby and Hazel maybe had some history. And it has the hair-raising entry into the canon of Lee Morgan with that absolutely blistering trumpet entry. But the other thing I love about this song is I don't know how you describe it, the press-rolled crescendo that that sits underneath Morgan when he's playing, particularly in the title track. I love the drum thunder suite on the back half. This is a magnificent copy of the record that started it all. When I heard it, I thought, why have I never heard this before? I'm a rabid music fan into my 40s. What is going on? Where has this come from? Why has this not been in my life? And I feel that way about most of the records in this list. If you don't know Moanin' by Art Blakey, please go and explore it. It is magnificent. And the thing is, I almost supplanted it at number 1 in the 5th anniversary list with this. I almost did. It is Caught Up by Millie Jackson. Again, I have found a splendid copy. I believe it's a first press. I'll need to check. The first time I heard this album, I was literally giddy with delight. It was like the first time I listened to Pretzel Logic by Steely Dan. The first time I listened to Teenage Symphonies from God by Velvet Crush. The first time I listened to Going Blank Again by Ride. These are the albums that I think, I suppose, molded me into what I think, what I think about as good music. And the first time I listened to this album, I felt the same way. The band is magnificent. The recording, the soundstage, but it's Millie Jackson. What a absolute force of nature. Just spectacular. Everything about this album, but the second track, the rap. If you've never listened to the rap, set aside 8 minutes of your life and do it. It is funny, it is caustic, it is groovy as. I love it. And you know how many of you have grabbed this record from it. Bowie, stop it. Sorry guys, Millie Jackson's Caught Up. Utterly magnificent. All right, there's 2 more jazz records to go and then I'm going to hit the funk. This will be no surprise to many of you. This is Portrait in Jazz by Bill Evans. I would say in the first year of the club, 15 to 20 people bought this album. Over the last year, 18 months, it's been harder to find. People are holding it pretty close. This is, I'm not even sure what copy this is. I think it's a US early press. I think that this is the melodic counterpoint to hard bop. This is a conversation of equals between bass, drums, and guitar. It's impressionistic, it's fun, it's light, it's quiet, but still intense. It is right there with Kind of Blue. And interestingly, Kind of Blue isn't on this list. There's another Miles record that I think has been a more substantive support of shortcuts and what I've tried to achieve with this club. But you've got Autumn Leaves, you've got, it just blossoms, it's just beautiful. I love everything about it on the Riverside label. Portrait in Jazz by Bill Evans. There's some really interesting miking that's on that record too. It's one of those records that you can put on and have other people around and they will say, what's that? That's really nice. But also it's a record you can sit and virtually just meditate to. I think that's why, it's a beautiful thing. And that's why it's part of our history. Now, The record, the Miles Davis record that I think is more substantive to the world of shortcuts is this. And I've managed to find right at the very end of the process. It took me ages, but I got there in the end. I got a really nice I think it's a first press. I'll need to double check. I will for Wednesday. It is, of course, Miles Davis's Bitches Brew. The absolutely bonkers, crazy record that he made. I want to say, you know what? I can't remember off the top of my head what year this was, but you've got Wayne Shorter, Chick Corea, Herbie Hancock, John McLaughlin, Jack DeJohnette. You've got the who's who of everyone who became jazz fusion or rock fusion or whatever you want to call it. Pharaoh's Dance, the opening side one filler, is absolutely mystifying in what he was able to achieve. And the thing is, Miles acts like a band leader, and I am no expert on Miles Davis, and I'm no expert on this record. Like, this is a record you learn about through the whole of your life. It's such a deep thing. The listening notes are incredible. It just is more important to me in the history of this club than Kind of Blue. It also comes with this wonderful little mini poster. There he is. It's just great. Miles Davis's Bitches Brew. All right. I said we were going to move into the funk. The next record is skin deep to Miles Davis's Bitches Brew's cosmic, realm of weirdness. This album is all about fun. And I have a long history with the movie Reservoir Dogs. And some of you will maybe have heard me talk about what I was able to achieve with Reservoir Dogs when I was at university and I was the chair of our film theatre. But the fact that Quentin Tarantino plucked some tunes off this record, put it on my radar, and I love the Japanese press of this. Wild and Peaceful by Kool and the Gang. Great sleeve. And of course, I'm talking about Jungle Boogie, which is the cornerstone of Reservoir Dogs. Everything about this album is magnificent. I believe this is the Japanese first press. I think the Japanese first press had this red inner, but you can see how beautiful that is. If you don't have Wild and Peaceful in your life, you're in for a treat. Because the funny thing is that Jungle Boogie may not even be the best song on this album. There is an argument to be made for funky stuff and its follow-up, more funky stuff. As I said, this is not deep. This is fun. F-U-N. Capital F-U-N with a K at the end. All right. That is magnificent. Interestingly, whilst Kind of Blue didn't make the cut, and I actually did hold myself to one album per kind of cornerstone artist for this list, because there's a few that I could have put a few on, but I didn't do that. This next one has crept up on the list. For a long time, this was not really a record that was that important to all of you at Shortcuts. But over the last couple of years, it has become more and more interesting. And this is an artist that I have a really hard time enjoying most of his music. But this record has won me over. It is Blue Train by John Coltrane. This is an absolutely wonderful copy. You can see here it's got its own kind of cover, which is inside the record, and I don't think it's ever been taken out of it. And I'm gonna wait. Whoever buys this can do this themselves. They can take the sleeve off. I think that this will be the sleeve coming out of its of its protective. It's all still sealed up. I honestly think this has never been opened. This is the Blue Note 1577. The record itself is just glorious. Absolutely beautiful. So why Blue Note? Blue Train? Well, I think that, again, you've got lineage to Art Blakey, because you've got Lee Morgan playing on this album. Curtis Fuller on trombone, John Coltrane tenor sax, Kenny Drew piano, Paul Chambers bass, Philly Joe Jones on drums. The precision of the playing, allied to the beauty of these incredible Japanese presses, just makes it precise and open and fun. Philly Joe Jones' cymbal delay, where everything about it is just on point. And the other thing is, like Moanin', for me, it's incredibly accessible. It's just a delight to listen to. So there you have it. John Coltrane's Blue Train. I had Millie Jackson on earlier. The equivalent Millie Jackson in terms of a soul singer that's just stole my heart is Bill Withers. This is the only compilation on the list. This is Bill Withers' greatest hits. Just the two of us and Soul Shadows, but also Ain't No Sunshine, Lovely Day, I Want to Spend the Night, Lean on Me, Grandma's Hands, produced by the mighty Booker T. Jones. It's just a beautiful sleeve, a beautiful compilation of an artist that is the favorite of many people, and I think rightfully so. I'm not sure there are many better compilations than Bill Withers' greatest hits. All right. I have a record that if I were to say, this is purely anecdotal because I didn't record all this, but the number of rave reviews for a record, or the number of people who said, oh my God, this thing is incredible, this has got to be up there. It is Kenny Burrell's Midnight Blue, another album that has only come into my purview because of Shortcuts. Stanley Turrentine, Kenny Burrell, Major Holly Jr., Bill English, Ray Barretto on conga. And that's the key. The conga lends a playfulness and an openness and an atmosphere to this record that makes it pure honey to listen to. It's got incredible liner notes by Leonard Feather, my favorite liner note writer. It's his, he was from Detroit, and he'd played with a lot of people right up to this point, but I don't think he ever had someone who he bounced off like Stanley Turrentine. Stanley Turrentine and Ray Burrell had a symbiosis which was pretty special. It's so pleasurable to listen to. It is many people's favorite Blue Note record, and it deserves its place on the 5th year anniversary list of Shortcuts. Now, there's recency bias here, and I'm allowing it. And that is because this artist I have only discovered through Shortcuts in the last year, and I cannot get enough. I am talking about Charles Mingus. This is Mingus. Absolutely magnificent. Look at that. Mingus is unique. He jolts with the unexpected and the new. He has something to say and uses every resource to interpret his message. Mingus is ingenious. Listen to Mingus. That's what it says on the back of the sleeve of this wonderful album. I know that he's a bass player and a piano player, but he also has a fantastic yelling voice. And he yells out quite a bit on this. He uses the bass, double bass, as like the orchestra conductor. It's kind of wild, and I think he's just fun. He's just hilarious. He just makes me smile. He's a swaggering guy. It's like Jackson Pollock. It's just all out there. It's all for show, and it's super. It's like Technicolor jazz. It's just great. All right, I'm conscious of time because I'm spending way too much time here. I had to have a James Brown record on the list because James Brown has also been part of this journey. Now, I looked all the way back through the records for the email because shortcuts went from Facebook, which is too annoying, to email, which has its own foibles, I know. And the very first James Brown album that was sold on shortcuts was this, Get Up Off of That Thing by James Brown, 1976. This is kind of the reset of the Funk Master. I think this record is like church sermons, except through the medium of funk. You can't take it with you, running away. Snappy guitars, staccato horns, everything you need. The band chanting away in the background. It's just like a gospel funk classic. And it was the first one. And so had to have one on there. And I used the same logic for John Lee Hooker. The first John Lee Hooker record that was sold by Shortcuts was this. The best of John Lee Hooker. Oh, I told a lie. I said there was only one compilation. There's two. On the Globe label. This is mellow Queen. This is mellow John Lee. So this is Queen Bee. This is Boogie Chillin'. This is just that early period where he basically laid down the cornerstone for the blues. All right, one more blues record to come, but I've got a soul record in between, and I'm finishing with a funk record. Johnny Taylor has been one of the artists with the widest variety of records that have sold over the years. I think about 7 or 8 of his albums. But the one that I got, I still remember over the period of about a year, just the number of people who went, oh, that album, it's so good. And that made its way onto the list. It is Wanted, One Soul Singer by Johnny Taylor. Now, this was released, oh gosh, that's going to beat me. I want to say early 70s. It had Booker T and the MGs and the Marquis on backing vocals because Johnny Taylor was on the Stax label. But this particular press in Japan was released on Atlantic. Really groovy, mid-tempo, just the most pleading ballads. And the blueprint for him becoming a pretty major star later. Really warm. I just love it. I think it deserves its place because he's kind of like Millie Jackson, one of these artists that became part of my world just because of this club. Otherwise, I don't think they would ever have been in it. I had to have a B.B. King. And the B.B. King that I chose isn't Mississippi, Indian Oil Mississippi Seeds, because I had it so recently. I went with this. I went with B.B. King live at the Regal, complete with Obi. That marvelous MC introduction that moves into Every Day I Have the Blues, Sweet Little Angel and more is just, I think, worth the price of entry. And I needed to have one live album on the list, and so it made the cut. And then finally, and this, I thought about this for quite a long time. I've decided to go with this. Another band that is really part of the canon of Shortcuts is Parliament. And here I have Trombipulation. Now, this is the biggest selling Parliament record in the history of Shortcuts. But I think part of that, to be honest, is because Mothership Connection and some of those are so hard to get. Whereas Trombipulation, maybe Planet Telefunky, are a little bit easier to get, and so therefore that little bit more accessible. But they're still deeply weird. Look at that. That's incredible. I think this is the American first press, so I'll just confirm all of that for Wednesday. 1980, the last of the Casablanca era, kind of the last run of classic Parliament. George Clinton and Bernie Worrell, present and complete. More electric guitar, kind of sci-fi, a little bit of disco. Just Angel of Defeat, Let's Play a House, Long Way Round. I think bridge us to Prince, pretty much. Anyway, there you have it. We have the 5th year anniversary countdown of the best of the genre list for shortcuts. As a reminder, the more you buy, the more entries. I think there's 25 records over the 2 lists. If you buy 5, you get 5 entries. Buy 5 records, you have a 1 in 5 chance of winning the Beatles' Let It Be single in your package. The price list will go out 9 p.m. sharp Sydney time this Wednesday. And if you want to be on the price list, drop me an email, shortcutsrecords@gmail.com. There you go. Please comment. Please let me know you watch these things. It'd be really nice to hear from you on our 5th anniversary. And watch out for the classic rock list, which I will start recording very soon. Thank you. Bye.